Welcome to the sixth video in the decision tree series. This video is focused on probability computations and most importantly the application of Bayes' rule. In this video we're going to try to make these computations more visually and then build the connection between what is done visually and then by actually applying Bayes' rule mathematically. In the problem statement here, we're going to look at radical kicks. And what's going on is there's a baseline success rate of a new store, and that success rate is 60%. But there's an opportunity to run a pop-up test to see if it's more likely that this store is going to be successful or a failure. And that pop-up store gives you some information, and in particular, the test's efficacy is rated as it can identify good locations or successful ones 80% of the time. And the test can also correctly identify bad locations or locations that would subsequently fail 90% of the time. And so we want to better understand how do we translate those test characteristics into probabilities as far as using mathematical notation, and then use those test characteristics to come up with the probability that a store will be successful after seeing information from the test.
Okay, we're going to work through the radical kicks problem, and I'm going to start with some notations. So we'll let S denote the event, and I'll use shorthand. Store is successful. And then I'll let F be the event such the store is a failure. And then as far as the test goes, they're going to do a pop-up store. If that pop-up flags it as a positive test, we'll say event pop-up test is positive. And then the negative for the event that the pop-up test is negative. So I'm just using a little shorthand there so I don't have to write quite as much. Okay, so we got that. We kind of look at the problem statement. It says there's a 60% chance that the store is successful. So that's more or less the base rate. And so it's really unconditional. So we would basically translate to saying that the P of S, the probability of the event that the store is successful, is equal to 0.60. Once you know that probability, it immediately follows that the probability of the failure is 1 minus that. So 1 minus 0.60, which is basically 0.40, 40%. Now, going back to the problem statement, we have to kind of infer what they mean by you believe the pop-up test will correctly identify successful locations 80% of the time. In general, when you have tests, it's usually the information is provided to you that, like, given a certain condition, this is how good the test was at catching it. And so here, the condition is given it's successful, will this test correctly identify it? And so to be more mathematical, basically it's telling you the probability of a positive test given that this store is successful is 80%, 0.80. And again, similar to before, once you know that, that immediately implies that P of negative given S is 1 minus that, 1 minus 0.80, or 20%. Okay, and then the last piece of information that's given here is the ability to correctly identify failures. And so very similar to that positive given S, now we're talking about the probability of negative given that it's a failure is equal to 90%. So that's how good it is at catching failures. And similar, that's going to imply that P of positive given failures is equal to 1 minus that, or 10%. Okay. And so that, for the most part, we've kind of getting the notation down as well as getting the uh, basic information translated from problem statement into kind of the mathematical notation. Okay, so I want to kind of build some intuition. We'll go to the next slide here. And to do this, I just want to kind of think more about what it's trying to tell us in terms of a probability space. And so here, I'm going to just kind of draw this. So I'm going to maybe draw it as, here's this probability space. And then part of that space is going to be the successes. And so, as it said, the base rate is 60%. So maybe like just kind of make this 60% of this oval. And that's maybe not to scale, but that's going to capture the success probability. And then this over here, this part is going to be the failure probability. Okay. And then why don't we just color it in if this works quickly. So this part, again, kind of representing the successes. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but give you the gist of it. And this part over here, can we choose red? Red. This is going to be the failures. So green and red. That seems reasonably appropriate here. Okay. And so I'll quickly kind of just shade that in. Okay, we got it. Okay, and so once we have that, we can kind of think about to what extent, you know, we can
what extent the space of successes kind of also had positive tests or negative tests. And so when we go back to our slide here, the data was that given success, it catches it 80% of the time. So it flags it as a positive. So when we're looking at the kind of the subspace here, the green, we'd expect that, 80% of that space indeed has positive. So I'm going to, again, it's going to be a little bit rough here, but, maybe I'll choose more. Let me see this about that part. So south of that, these are going to be all the positive tests. Okay, that's good enough. One more. And then similarly, the negative given failure is 90%. So if we go to the other side, that should be even more. And again, I'm going to kind of just saw off 10% here. And for all these, pretty much these are all negatives. Okay. And so the other side of that is got to be the positive. So this is where it was actually wrong. And up here on the other side, this is where it incorrectly labeled successes as, flagged as a negative. Okay. So this is kind of capturing, what we're hoping to say mathematically, but more visually. Okay. Now, kind of getting to the question, the fundamental question here is, given the result of a pop-up test being successful, what is the probability of a real store being successful? Okay, and so just kind of translating that, it's the probability of S that the store is successful given we just got a positive test. So this is the probability that we're looking for in the problem. And so now the help of the visual aid, we can kind of look, okay, given the positives, we see that that's basically this entire region. And so I'm going to kind of highlight that with another color. So this piece here is basically saying, all of this stuff is the region where things are positive, right? So the given positive, it's that space. And, graphically, what we basically want to know is, what part of that space is green and not red, right? And so you're basically, you kind of want the fraction of that green with the positives divided by the total with the positives. And so here, again, so if we think about what part of this region, let me just kind of write this on here, kind of what part of the region is this piece? It's basically 60% of the total, right? The green. And then only a part of that, and that part we already said was about 80%. So 60 times 80 gives you 48%. And then
the kind of the same deal here. What part of this overall red part has these positives? Well, we know that total area is 40%, and then the fraction of that 40% that is positives is 10%. Oops, so kind of lost my, oh, there it is, 10%. So this is going to equal 4%, okay? And so if you add up the 48% and the 4%, that's a total of 48 plus 4 equals 52%, right? And so now it's pretty easy to see kind of what we were targeting. I'm going to erase this question mark. That this is going to equal this piece, which is kind of here, just to remind you, that chunk, which is 48% divided by the total, which is 52. And if you work that math out, that basically comes out to, the lion's share of it, or 92.3%. Okay. And so that's the, kind of intuitive visual way of kind of thinking through that conditional probability. Now, that's the, what I'd call the, logical way. And if you have that intuition, now we can kind of do it the more systematic way using the mathematical expressions that we've learned in the class. And so let me kind of switch gears to that mode. So if you want to compute probability as given positive using Bayes' rule, this should be P of S n positive divided by P of positive. Now, interestingly enough, we can use Bayes' rule again on this top part, and that will become P of positive given S times P of S, and then all that is over P of positive. Now, if we think about our problem, kind of going back to the first slide, we have P of S, we have P of positive given us. So we got those two. So let's go ahead and fill those out. It's going back here, equals 0.8 times 0.6, and then P of positive. How do we get that? Well, we just have to think for a second. Well, what are the different ways to get positive tests? And they can come basically from two ways. You can get them from when things are actually successful and flagged correctly, but you can also get them when they're actually failures but flagged incorrectly, right? And so it's basically coming from two different sides. And so for the information we have, we can kind of get it that way. So P of positive equals P of positive given it's a success times P of success plus P of positive given it's a failure times P of failure. And so now we're kind of getting closer and closer to the number that we're hoping for, but we're still not there because we don't have every piece. So we know we have these two. This is 0.8 and this is 0.6, whereas this piece, P of positive given S, is what we actually have is 1 minus P of negative given F. And so correctly labeling a failure and then times P of F. So now we can kind of fill this out. This is the numbers we actually have given to us. So this is 1 minus the 0.9, and then that is times the 0.4 that we already computed on the first page. So we got 0.48 plus 0.10 times 0.40, and very similar to before, this is 0.52. And so kind of one back up there, we got the 0.52 and the 0.48. Oop, I'm getting too close to the end. And that comes out to 0.923, just as we did it the other way. And so whether you want to do it from this type of view or you want to do it from this type of view, which is more mathematical, it's going to give you the same answer as we know. And the key to this course is trying to be able to take this strong intuition and visualization and thinking about a problem without, you notice, very little math notation here. I'm just kind of reasoning through it and then matching that with actual clear notation and rigor. And that's what's important in this class, because when we get to more complex problems, sometimes it gets difficult to visualize it, and we'll be able to use our tools and our mathematics to actually and rely on them to get the correct answer. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helped.